More and better jobs could boost the economy on both sides of the border. Officials met recently in Arizona to develop the best ways to continue promoting the use of science and technology to generate binational development. This meeting was facilitated by the team of TechBA Arizona, a division of FUMEC based in Phoenix. Haru Yamasaki is here along with Wendy Vittori, and I welcome both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To talk about this exciting enterprise. And Haru, I'll ask you first of all to explain this company, the TechBA, that is operating in what you said 5 different locations in the Northern America plus Mexico.
Yes. TechBA is a program that was created by the U.S.-Mexico Foundation for Science, FUMEC, and is financed by the Mexican government, by the Mexican Ministry of the Economy. And its goal is to enable Mexican technology businesses to become global, to do global business. We have 5 offices in the U.S., 2 in Canada, and 1 in Spain.
So how is this collaboration working? And Wendy, you are with the Arizona Sonora Technology
Initiative.
Correct. And you are involved with Haru. What are the objectives that you two are developing together?
What we're doing, Kimberly, is really looking at what kinds of companies in Mexico. So this is about taking companies that are in Mexico in the technology field and helping accelerate their growth in jobs, revenue, and so on through working here in the United States with partners and exports and all the elements that companies do. So we are looking for those companies that are a good fit with Arizona in terms of products we need, skills that exist here, opportunities for collaboration with Arizona companies so that they can grow together.
So Haru, you can.
Yes. Yeah, TechBA is pretty much a economic development engine, and we look for regional development. So as Wendy mentioned, we select areas that have synergy with the region. So for example, here in Arizona, we look for companies in renewable energy and clean tech, medical devices that is growing in Arizona, IT that is one of the strongest sectors in Mexico, and now we are exploring food processing companies. So we bring companies that may have some sort of synergy with the economic activity in the region to increase capabilities both in Mexico and in the US.
So, and Wendy, what do you see as the potential for this? You've been involved in this dialogue.
Yes, I have, and I've been working across the border a lot in Sonora over the last few years. And then prior to what I'm doing now, I was the senior executive for Motorola here in Arizona, and we worked across the border on a number of initiatives. And I think the opportunity really is to find ways to increase the competitiveness of these companies. Just from an Arizona perspective, there are a lot of capabilities that Mexican companies have that are very complementary. So this is not about shifting jobs. This is about creating high-value jobs in both countries, new jobs.
So we're talking about a collaboration,
right,
more or less.
Right. That is, I would like to emphasize, is really the mission of FUMEC. The U.S.-Mexico Foundation for Science was born as a result of the NAFTA agreement about 18 years ago. And it was created by a congressman from California, George Brown. And he had this great vision that collaboration between Mexico and the US should go further, that the problems we all know. So he was able to establish the foundation to promote science and technology collaboration for competitiveness, economic growth in both countries.
Well, it begs the question because, and you have had this experience, Wendy, where people say, well, what can they make? I mean, what are Mexican products? I mean, we've all seen the ceramic burro with the hat on, but I think it goes beyond that. And not to be offensive or anything, but you have also experienced some reaction from people who didn't understand what was available and the quality and expertise that Mexico can bring to this discussion.
I think that's right, Kimberly. One of the biggest things that we're focused on is just education, bringing the facts to the table, helping companies here in Arizona really understand, you know, we call the WIFM, what's in it for me? Because businesses need to know that. We hear, you know, we're bombarded with all the issues, the problems, everyone is aware of that. But what are the positives? How can this help my business grow? This is what we're bringing to help the Arizona companies understand what are these opportunities. Are there some unique competitive capabilities that I can advance in my company by working with a company from Mexico.
And you can identify some of those, right? Those unique,
Exactly.
those
In
unique
fact,
opportunities.
yes.
So, what would those be if you're on this side of the border and you?
Yes.
What can you offer?
In fact, for example, there are some strategic sectors for Mexico and the U.S. Some, as the one I already mentioned, like renewable energy, clean tech, medical devices. But TechBA has a extensive process in Mexico to identify companies that are, have some sort of capability and are strong to start doing business in another level. To be here and exploring what capabilities they can offer to the region, but also how they can increase their competitiveness and start having global business. Yes.
What do you see as the cost benefit to this arrangement?
Well, I think from the standpoint of an Arizona company, there are a lot of opportunities to take advantage of the R&D type work that is going on. For example, in the medical field, there's a lot in the area of testing that's very complementary to things that American-based companies need to do. Those capabilities already are existing. So if I can team with a company in Mexico, that is a great opportunity for me. I can increase my product development at a relatively low cost. So I think those kinds of areas, unique technologies, a number of the companies have unique medical devices, for example.
Right. And one of the things that we find is, of course, stereotypes. So when we speak about technology-based companies in Mexico, the first thing that comes to the mind of the people is manufacturing. But it's much more than that. For example, in the medical devices area, we have a company that is doing design and prototyping. And for example, the name of the company is Alandra. They are working with universities like Johns Hopkins. They are exploring things with UCLA. And that speaks about the capacity that you can find in Mexico now. It's not only that you can send things to be manufactured in Mexico, is much more than that. And capabilities in aerospace, for example, are now growing. In fact, it's a sector that has been growing exponentially in Mexico for the last 5 years. There are clusters in Baja California, in Querétaro, and Estado de Mexico. And companies like Boeing and Bombardier have large facilities in Mexico. And that speaks about the capacity that you can find in the people and in the institutions in Mexico.
Do you think, Wendy, that this is going to, collaborations like this will, in some way in the long term, solve these disparities between these economic entities? I mean, I'm not saying this project is going to solve the illegal immigration problem right now definitively, but raising the economic level of Mexican citizens will go a long way to making that collaboration work a lot better. So,
absolutely.
I mean, just paint the long-term picture. I'm not saying we're going to Oz or anything, but
I think there's two benefits that we know from facts. We have data, we have research that tells us this. So the first is creating high-value jobs on both sides of the border. So as companies become more competitive, they are more able to support high-value jobs. And so that's what we're really talking about, is how to make these companies, whether it's in the company in Mexico or the company that may be working with them in Arizona, for example, how to become more globally competitive. We're competing on a global stage. And so partnering goes across all kinds of borders. This is one form of partnering with Mexico, which we know from the data there's a lot more opportunity to do. There are actually more partnerships of American companies with companies in countries other than Mexico. We're just talking about the same thing.
That's right. There are a lot of potential.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, as higher value jobs are created in Mexico, there's a spillover effect, and those are going to create more jobs in the service sectors and so on within Mexico itself.
Well, I look forward to catching up with you at another date. We're out of time, and we will put your information on our website. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you so
very
much.
much, Kimberly.